Hi everyone, it's Heidi from flutterbyheidi.co.uk. I'm Heidi Smith, I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator based in the United Kingdom. And today I'm taking part in a new Crafty Collaborations hop, which is called Share It on Sunday. And when I was playing with Flowers of Friendship stamp set the other day, I just thought it would be lovely if you coloured these in red, because they kind of reminded me a little bit of poppies, certainly almost sort of the Californian poppies. And I just thought it was a different way to do a card. And all I've done is I've just cut that at a slight angle. So I just wanted to share with you how I'd done that. I've also used the sentiment of Happy Birthday from the Artistically Inked stamp set, so that's where that's come from. And it's just a bit of cutting and a bit of layering of our DSP, and obviously these change, the patterns usually change each year. So you may find that these are different patterns available, but I just thought the Granny Apple Green really popped with that Poppy Parade. So doing a little bit of colouring, a little bit of stamping, and let's have some fun. Oh, and that's my envelope. I often forget to share my envelopes. So here I've just used the flower set from the same stamp set across there, and then on the back we had a wonderful stamp set a little while ago with this Can't Beat Snail Mail, which I just think is a great little stamp set to use when you're sending something through the post. So let's get started. Okay, so to start off with, I'm using thick basic white for my card base. So you're going to need half a sheet of thick basic white. You're going to need sort of just under a quarter sheet of ordinary basic white. You're going to need a sheet of our 6x6 DSP, although we won't obviously be using all of that, and then some scraps of white and Poppy Parade. I've used the Poppy Parade combi and the Granny Apple Green combi for my colouring, and I'm using obviously Memento for it as well. And I can't remember when I did this what colour I used. It may have been Night of Navy looking at it now, but I'm actually going to use some Pacific Point, which obviously comes from the Brights family, which will go with that. So first of all, create your standard card base. So mine is 29 by 14.5 by 10.5 centimetres, which would be sort of 5 3/4 by 4 1/8, and I've just scored that in half at 14.5 to create my base. Something that would be useful for you to have would be a post-it note, because we just want to mask off that fold so that we can get right up close with our stamps. So all I'm going to do is just pop a post-it note up to that crease line like so. Then here's my Memento. I've already got my ink pad, my stamp mounted on a block, and it's a largish stamp, so I'm doing ink pad to stamp technique. And I'm going to just come in and kind of tuck this not quite to the top, like so, and then I'm just going to repeat stamp that. That was a lucky let off, wasn't it? Just down at an angle. Just 3 times, as you can see, and I haven't been precise about that at all. And then I'm going to stamp my sentiment. Now the piece of card I've got is about 1.3 centimetres, so about half an inch by about 7.5 centimetres, and I'm just going to stamp that. And let's go, yeah, let's grab my Poppy Parade, yeah, Poppy Parade for that. So I'll just do this exactly the same as I've done before. When I'm doing a sort of narrow sentiment, I sometimes find it is easier to stamp my sentiment onto my pre-cut piece of cardstock. Doesn't always work, but use my grid paper. That's worked quite well. So that's going to mount onto a piece of Poppy Parade, as I say, which is about, you know, so it's slightly bigger, so it's probably about 1.6 centimetres by about 7.8. So I'm peeling that off because it hadn't quite gone down as essentially as I would like. So I've got a bit of a gap. So pop that to one side. Other things you'll need, really useful would be a pencil. and a ruler, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a look and sort of mark. The reason I'm going to mark it will become clear when I do the inside. So about 2 centimetres to about 4 centimetres. In fact, no, let's go down to 3. What I want to do is I just want to make sure that I'm coming across the sort of centre of those flowers, because what you don't want to do is suddenly have a sort of a really skinny stem. You want something that's going to kind of create the pretty edge without allowing those flowers to flop too much. And then while I'm doing that, I'm going to mark my piece of cardstock the same. So this is again 14.5 wide. So I'm just going to do those same measurements, in fact slightly more. So I'm just going to take a couple of millimetres, so about 2. What do we take it? What did I take it to? I took it down to, is it 3? Yeah, so down to 3 centimetres. And I'm just going to pop that in my trimmer and cut that. In fact, I want to cut it opposite. Yeah, so I'm going to cut it in that orientation, but I'll just burnish down those edges. You'll see what I mean. So there we go. Because what I've got is a cut edge there, which is slightly proud. So if you ever get that, just run your bone folder along there. Because what's going to happen is you're going to need to pop that on the inside of this. Because when you cut those out and when you colour them, obviously the ink is going to bleed through. It always happens with blends, and it's absolutely what should happen. It's as the alcohol activates, but you obviously don't necessarily want to see that on the inside of the card. Now you can either do some cutting on your trimmer with this, so you can pop it in on that diagonal and you know, do some trimming by just lining that up in the track. So what I mean by that is you're going to come in, just lift it in between, and it does depend how confident you are on those, and you can just sort of lift up, have another little look, see where you've got to, and that will give you a nice kind of straight edge. Or you can just come in with your scissors. So what I'm going to do is now just roughly cut around those. And I'm going to come down, and I'm actually going to come down on the outside of that score line. It just improves it when you actually fold the card, and come in with your snips to take that out. So I'm going to come in and now trim around my flower. So I'm kind of going just to the outside edge, and if you wanted to leave more of a white gap and come in with a black marker afterwards, that would work just as well. But I'm just going to very quickly cut with those and just join up with that cut line. And that's where the beauty of the snips comes in, because they cut right to the tip. So you will find that you can come in and just continue that cut line right to a lovely point. I mean, everybody has their preferences for scissors, but I have to say, since I've had my snips, I rarely use any other scissors, because they just are so precise. Again, just come in from the opposite end, snip. As you can see, you know, it takes no time at all really to do that. What I am going to want to do, I'll need my trimmer out again though, is to cut the DSP for my background. And I'm actually going to cut it slightly larger, slightly deeper, because I don't kind of want to have a white line showing if I get it slightly off. So there we have our cutout. So while I'm saying that, let's get the DSP done as well. So if it's got a directional pattern, decide which direction you want it in. And so I'm going to want a piece that is, I haven't finished cutting that actually. So I'm going to want it to come down to about 7.5. So if I go for 8 centimetres in width, and I'm going to come down from about 2.5. So I'm going to take it to 8 centimetres. I'm going to put a mark in at 2.5, and I'm just going to cut that on the diagonal. And it's DSP, start the cut in the middle, that way you're not going to damage those corners. A couple of bits of DSP, pop to one side, you'll use those for another project. And then that's going to, oh that's good. What I didn't do is actually trim that to the right length, which would be 14.5. So let's have a look at whether that will work. Yes, it will. So I'm now going to trim that to 14.5 centimetres on that shorter edge. Just goes to show, you see, when I don't pre-prepare, things get forgotten. So as you can see, that's just going to go in there. Excuse me. Still leaves you a nice area to write your sentiment, and you've got a nice overlap as well on that. Okay, grab my snips and finish off my cutting. I don't know why I overlooked this stamp set for such a long time. I think there's so much, isn't there? And you get so tempted in by other things. But this is a lovely stamp set. Okay, so really easy colouring now. So just grab your blends, and I'm just going to come in with my light Poppy Parade. And I kind of do a couple of flowers at a time, because you don't really want the ink to dry out too much in between. So I'm going to come in, I'm going to use the bullet tip on my dark one, and I'm just going over those lines, adding a bit at the base. And then just coming in those centres again. Again, while it's out, light, again coming in, and go over those. And I shall carry on and do the same again. And obviously, you know, with these you could do whatever colour you wanted. I just thought it was really. It just suddenly came to me that they looked. Say, could almost do them in those lovely yellows and oranges that I think they're called the California poppies. I think I said. They are lovely anyway. They're lovely little poppies. I don't seem to have much success propagating them, so I'll buy some, and then next year perhaps my ground is too rich for them, but I don't seem to have a lot of luck getting them to come back year after year. I do keep trying, but I'm not the world's greatest gardener. Neglect. My plants either get sort of loads of attention or nothing at all. Life gets in the way. Crafting gets in the way. Well, I wish it did. Certainly work and things do as well. I think like everybody, you know, we just... I just like a garden that has a little bit of colour in it in the summer. So it's full of lovely sort of hot pinks and lovely bright oranges, which are colours that I don't use or very much, but I do like them in my garden. And then for the leaves, actually just for speed on this, I'm going to come in and do the kind of darker bits first on those leaves. Like so. And then use the brush tip to kind of come in. And this, the beauty of the Stampin' blends is that you get both a bullet and a brush tip on on each one, and you get it in a combi pack. You get the light and the dark. And obviously with ink blends, you know, I mean, I do tend to use them in the pairs, but you know, you've got such lovely colours, you could soon add another green into this to add even more depth as well. So there we go, oh, last little leaf, don't want to miss that. And then now let's do our blending. So all I've got is I've got my ink pad here, I've got my dark blues blending brush, and it is quite a strong blue. I'm going to pop that post-it note back on there because we don't want to go onto the back of our card. And I'm just going to come in a little bit strong there. But I'm just adding that sort of blue just to create sort of the impression of a sky behind. Ink pad away. And so we can pop our sentiment up on a couple of dimensionals. So just pop that there. And I'll show you why I cut that extra piece of basic white as well. I'm popping that happy birthday over that little bit where I was a little bit heavy-handed with my blending brush. And as you can see, you've got that colour bleeding through from the inside. But by popping that on there, you still get the top of the poppies, which I think is fine, but you don't get the bits of green. And I just think that just improves the appearance. I'm adding the adhesive to the inside of my card. And then pop that layer in. Now what you might find is when you pop it in, just come to the inside of that score line and you'll overhang very slightly, but it's much easier to come in and just trim that off, get a nice flush finish. And then we can add the same, just add our piece of DSP, just add the glue right into the corners there. There's a little trail in the middle. And again, just line that up with the edge of our card. And I've just decrease that slightly. There we go. So there we have our lovely poppy flowers of friendship card, ready to send to wish someone a happy birthday. So thanks for watching. Hopefully I'll have joined in the blog, so you'll find lots of other inspiration on the Share It on Sunday and Crafty collaborations. Do pop along and see the others too. I know everybody really appreciates it when you stop by and hit a like. And again, if you like what you see that I do, please do hit the subscribe button. And if you click that bell for notifications, you'll be told when I come to do another card or other 3D project. Thanks for watching. Bye now.